In the studio is Adesumbo Badejoko. He's a public affairs analyst, and of course, he's been looking at the Samoa Agreement and the trust deficit. You're welcome this morning to M120.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's go into the Samoa Agreement. We all know that this agreement was set to be signed in favor of Nigerians. We have signed several agreements, but unfortunately, this seems like a different agreement, like we have never signed one before. Why the trust deficit in Nigeria?
Well, the way and manner it was signed, the controversial content in the agreement, and of course, the position of the country concerning those controversial content, as in provisions of the treaty now. Those are the reasons why it has generated much noise, and coupled with the fact that this administration have been doing some things, they just throw it at the people and they expect us to receive it like that. Now, we may take the local ones because it's our own local affair, but when it comes to we putting our hands, putting pen to paper on an international treaty that would be binding on certain things is cause for concern, and that's why there is this noise about it. So whatever is happening now is not something that is not strange to me, but it's the right thing to do. As a people, when there is an international treaty signed, three people can prevent that treaty from being enacted. The government itself, that's the executive head or the administration, could decide, okay, we're withdrawing from this, we are not going to do it. The parliament could decide, okay, we will not ratify this, because every international treaty signed, there's a committee in the parliament that sees to that. They must be part of, they must witness the signing. They were not carried along, so the parliament could decide to say we are not going further with this, and there's nothing the executive can do about that. The people themselves can revote against it. So in this case now, Nigerians were having two. The executive seems to be in favor.
Exactly.
But the parliament and the people are saying no.
But there was a representative of the parliament. How did he get there? He was part of the signing.
Well, it wasn't part of the signing. They are denying that they are not part of it. And besides, it was signed in Brussels, in Belgium. That was not when the negotiations were ratified at Samoa. The Nigerian delegates that were there, together with about 37 other countries, said, we are not going to sign this. And these are the reasons why we will not sign it. We do not believe. They raised
their voice then?
They did, and that was why the thing was not ratified then.
Okay.
So.
Then when?
2018.
Exactly.
So it wasn't ratified then. I think they also sat on it sometimes around last year. They still did not sign based on the same condition. But June, just last month, we suddenly heard that a particular diplomat has put pen to paper on behalf of Nigerians, and that was where the problem started.
Now let's begin to look at the content of that agreement.
Yeah, every other content is not different from the other multilateral agreement that we've signed. But the area of human rights, that is where the problem comes in. And when you say human rights and gender rights, gender in the United Nations is no longer limited to male and female.
No, it has always been male and female.
You understand? But that has changed. It has now included transgender, LGBT, put it the way it is. That was what the people were asking for, even the delegates that come. You have to clarify this. If you are going to sign this, your gender right must be in line with what we believe as gender.
Is it actually in the agreement?
It is there, but LGBT is not stated.
What was
but when you say
stated?
gender, that is subject to further clarification and interpretation. You understand? And that is what they are saying. If you just put this thing, these people are very corny in their approach. Remember, they refused to sell arms to us because we signed an anti-gay bill here in 2014. And that was why Boko Haram escalated to what it was and we're still dealing with it.
So
They have this mindset of always wanting to impose whatever they believe in on the rest of us.
Strong arm tactics again to impose that.
That is what they are doing. They understand the position of Nigeria as a country. So where this administration got it wrong is their knack for raising funds wherever they can get it. That is what has put them to this condition. You don't just look at the 150 billion that you are targeting.
Remember this administration did not start that particular conversation. It started with the Buhari-led government.
But the Buhari-led government did not sign it.
Well, that's
because
another
they
angle.
know that, well, we can do away with this thing. If it's about the funding and whatever benefit that we're going to get, we have other ways that we can get those ones. But if you are going to sign and be committing the nation to what we have a local law contravening, we are not going to sign it. And that's why the Buhari government did not even bother about it.
Now, we have said, in our conversation, we have said that the National Assembly said they were not carried along. They were not part of this signing or this agreement. The people are saying, look, we do not want this because of LGBT, that may likely have an undertone there. Now, if the federal government still refuses to do the needful by rejecting this law or looking for an amendment, what will be the implication?
They can't refuse. As far as the position of the situation of things is concerned, as we speak right here in this studio, it's been halted. The Assembly, the Parliament has suspended it, and that is where it ends.
So
whatever
the
pen has
agreement
been put,
has come to stay?
Has not come to stay. It has been suspended.
Okay.
So no European Union official will come here and be bamboozling any of our MDAs, because that is part of the thing. They will start implementing at that end.
Do you think that is how it will end?
That is how it's going to end, except they now interpret that session with a proviso that, well, we're signing it, but we are not going to implement any anti-gay or any LGBT rights in our country. That has been put there that, well, that is a condition for signing. That will be understood by them, and they know that whatever LGBT right they want to advance, Nigeria will be exempted.
Why are they always advancing some of these things that, we feel are not right? Why are they always advancing towards our countries?
Well, it is to us that we are the ones that feel it's not right. To them, they feel, well, every human being is created and they have the right to believe in whatever they want to believe. They even have the right to choose the gender that they want to be. So that is coming from them. That is the extent at which we have taken freedom, liberty, and human rights too in the West. But we are Africans, and we believe in our own traditional ethics and values. And if what you are bringing is against those ethics and values, we will not accept it from you.
Now, why was the initial denial by the federal government?
They were looking at it from the content of the agreement. That this LGBT that is strange to us is not in what we signed. Of course, they would want to deny that LGBT is not stated anywhere in the agreement. But what people were pointing
has come out to also say that it's not part of the agreement.
It is not. But when the European says gender rights, sexual orientation,
is NBA not looking at that direction?
They are also looking at it. It is members of the NBA that brought out the need for those clarifications. That if you are going to sign, fine, we have to put that clause there. It should be a conditional signing.
But the president of the NBA said that, it's not part of it.
That is his own position. He may not be speaking for the entire bar body. You understand? He has the right to his opinion. The fact that he expressed his opinion doesn't mean he's stating the position of every other lawyer that is out there. One thing that our governments used to forget is that Nigeria is so endowed with intellectuals. There are so many people that are following trends and patterns globally. So and when you say you are going to a particular summit or a conference, they would have scrutinized the motive behind your going. The agenda at the conference would have been analyzed by some people. So they already have their expectation of what you are to bring back from that conference. And even if you are even supposed to be there at the first instance, they already know. So you can't just be dismissing that fact about your nation by just believing that because you're in government, you can just commit the nation to any form of treaty. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, let's look at the trust deficit. It seemed like we have never signed an agreement before. Whereas we have signed several agreements that we just see in the news, oh, the federal government has signed this and that. Why do we have this trust deficit?
I've told you they've done some other things locally that have led to that. For instance, I'll give you one, the hottest one now, is the issue of presidential jets.
Okay.
We are not going to buy it yet. The Senate said, well, we cannot allow the president to be going on private chartered flights. The House of Representatives also buttressed that fact. But the executive kept mum. You understand? Before we know what is happening, a jet has been procured. And now you are seeing supplementary budgets shrouded in secrecy being forwarded. The content of that supplementary, it just said 3 trillion for recurrent, 3.2 for capital. We don't know the content of what the new recurrence will be and what the new capital will be. So when you look at all of that, and you're going to commit about 17 or 22 billion naira now, equivalent of whatever the value of the so that cost that Nigerians have said, this can wait. You can use, since you are not going to be traveling every day, there's no, it's not a bad idea to go on charter flight. As a citizen, before becoming president, you have one. You can be borrowing the nation that one, pending the time that our finances can accommodate
Borrow.
it. But they went ahead and still do that. And now, this is coming up. You understand? When you add that to other things that they've done, how they manage the palliative, the subsidy issue, subsidy is gone, it's back through the back door. So when you look at all these things, Nigerians are finding it difficult. Port Harcourt refinery will start June last year, March this year, and all of that. It will tell you something, and they say another thing at the end. So that is, all those things are what has led to that trust deficit, that whatever is coming from this administration, until we see it, we are not going to believe whatever they have said with their mouths. So those are the origin of the problem. And that's why this so-called agreement is
one must go back to give kudos to the Buhari-led government for not signing that document.
Even for not talking too much. You know, we used to say Buhari, we will not hear him say anything, but he believes in action. But this one talks too much, and you will not see any action backing those words.
But let's look at what the present administration is doing, talking about the National Assembly, and then they are building up their, trust, so that people trust them the more. Talking about the cutting of their wage.
By 50%.
By 50%.
Point of correction.
For 6 months.
They said salary.
Salary. For 6 months.
Okay, let's do a little bit of mathematics. It is the House of Representatives that has said that. The Senate have not said anything. How much is the basic salary of an House of Rep member?
They said 600.
600,000. Abi? Divide that into 2, 300,000.
Yes.
Multiply by 360. You have 108 million. You understand? 108 million. Multiply by 6. It's still less than $1 billion naira that they want to give.
Are you saying that it's still enough?
Now, is it palliative that one will take care of? Will it fix Port Harcourt refinery? What exactly will that figure of about 700 million?
We were clamoring that at least they should cut the cost of governance. Now they're looking at means of cutting it, at least for a start, for 6 months.
If you want to
shouldn't
cut,
we just
you cut everything across board. The allowances are the main thing. Cut everything, the entire take home. You don't just cut the basic and leave the allowances that are even more than the basic.
The allowances that are not known. You want to know the allowances?
They are known. It's just that they are the ones denying it. But it is out there in the public. They know we know. Some of them have even, whether unconsciously or consciously, let out the information. And some had even said it on national TV and they got punished for it. Why will we be exposing our secret? But the thing is, they should not come and be deceiving us. Don't forget, Buhari too slashed his salary when he first came up. But we never heard anything about it again. So, it's not about slashing the salary. It's about limiting, cutting down on the frivolities. Items that can wait. Why would the office of First Lady be needing 2 billion to procure vehicles? Have they been trekking to that office before? The answer is no. The vehicles they were using, or the ones that are in the presidential wing that are not being used, can be moved down there. We can't be spending money. When we say buy vehicles that are assembled locally for the National Assembly, they were even bragging about it, that what will make them to be comfortable. And they went and bought the one of 200 million naira for senators, 150 for reps. Meanwhile, equivalent of those vehicles that are locally assembled, they will get for 70 billion. So why are you spending frivolously? These are areas where they have lost the trust of somebody like me. You understand? And if I that is in the know, that follows them, could not trust them, how do you expect the ordinary man in the street there to also trust them?
I think when you're saying follow, maybe you should expatiate. Follow them.
In terms
their
of
trend, their activities.
The activities, decisions of government, as a public and public policy analyst, I need to follow.
Exactly.
I can't be invited to speak on all those issues.
Fantastic.
I cannot be coming here or come on any live radio to be saying nonsense. So I have to go with facts. So
Yes.
that is the reason why I follow. And I'm not alone. Please, we are not small in number in the country, even in Oyo State alone. So when you have people like that out there who kind of form, they influence the opinion of the public in a way, because people listen to us. Even government of recent have been adjusting to whatever we say, because they believe we are somehow like a door. We see what is outside, we see what is inside. So they can't just take people like us for granted. We may not serve in government, but we are more or less a watchdog and give them the kind of access to what is in the mind of the people. So when we say certain things, you have to take us seriously. And when we are not trusting you, the people cannot trust you.
Now, our situation is now, what do you think government should do concerning this agreement?
They should reverse it. They should just go and add that clause to it or forget about it. We can get fund elsewhere.
Where?
We are just talking about
Where
cutting
exactly?
costs of governance. That will save some money.
Are you saying internally?
This government appears to be frivolous in their orientation. The president said we are going to spend big. They are spending big. But they are not spending big on us. They are spending big on themselves, asking us to tighten our belts while they lose theirs. So these are issues that we're dealing with. And for this agreement, they can forget it. If it's about money, there are ways there are even some potentials that are line value that we have not harnessed. Like if we can work on security, it will boost our tourism, it will boost our agriculture. You understand what you're saying? It will attract foreign investments that you can now tax to raise more money. Tourism will raise more money. Kenya, for instance, has had their tourism fund doubled by 200% just within a year. We can also do so. And the same Kenya, too, had Al-Shabaab to deal with terrorism a few years back. But they worked on it. They were able to secure their country, and they attracted. And we have so many tourist potentials within the country.
Why do you think we are unable to tackle the issue of insecurity? It's been many years now. What do you think is responsible?
Only one thing.
Oh.
Lack of political will.
So how would government have been able to tackle insecurity?
It is the government. When the government is ready today, they will.
Can you advise government on how to tackle it?
I don't have any advice to give to them. They know what to do. They are just ready they are not ready to do it.
Are you saying they are also conspiring?
This is what is going on. Do you think having defense, taking the lion's share of the budget annually, is not beneficial to some people? They want it like that to continue. So in as much as you have that going on, insecurity will
Well, lives are being lost.
Are you saying that
they're not looking at those lives that have been lost? You understand? If you tell them about that, they will say, well, people die of all manner of things.
Like, seriously?
I'm telling you how they think. They don't feel the way you feel. They only pretend to be so. If the government wants to end insecurity today, they know what to do.
Are you
I don't
saying
have
that-
any advice to offer
Are you
on
saying
that.
that they are not deploying the money? I mean, they are getting to the appropriate...
Military obeys command. When you say command, it's a mandate that you are giving to them. Once you give them the right mandate, they will implement and carry it out. But if you don't give them the right mandate, they will stick to the mandate that you have given to them. For now, we are doing containment and not offensive. If you want to end it, you go full offensive.
You are not talking about a counter-offensive by the terrorists.
When I say offensive, I mean offensive. One, what is the number of these terrorist guys that we're talking about? They do not outnumber our military. Forget the narrative that some people
What
are
about
telling.
the ammunition?
They may have ammunition. They are not as skilled in the handling of those ammunition as our military
But do
guys.
we have the ammunition, the kind of ammunitions they carry?
Some people within the army and the military are not leaking the intels of the military, we will not be suffering any casualties. Those who have been there and back will tell you that what happened is that they don't know. They run into an ambush. What do you mean? But how will ambush be planned? It is because they have information about your plans. That's why they could ambush you. How did those information? Who is in the situation room with you that leaked out the information?
Are you
So
saying
these are
those people
issues that
cannot
we're
be
talking-
picked out, fished out, and dealt with?
Well, that's why I said when they are ready, they will do the right thing. So let's leave
Okay,
insecurity
let's go to
matter.
let's go to the issue of communication with regards to National Orientation Agency. It's an agency of the federal government that one would have thought that will communicate real-time information to the public. Unfortunately, it seems like it has gone into comatose. What do you think is responsible?
No, they are working. You know, one thing is their work required funding. How many operational vehicles do they have as we speak? I know they have offices in all the 774 local governments, but how many of those local governments has functional operational vehicles? You understand? I cannot point out to any, as in station in the local government, the campaign vehicles that they used to have in those days, that will have the megaphone on them, they go out, speak to issues. You understand?
So are you saying that
they have to print posters, you understand, and ambulance concerning whatever they want to orientate people on. Are they funding those things? So when you don't fund an agency, how do you expect the agency to perform?
Well, let us cut in right now to take some commercial. We have a commercial break. Please don't go away.
I'm in love.
Hey, mommy.
What?
Sonia tomato mix, stand up, action. Sonia tomato mix, stand up, action. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop and is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Stand up, action. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up, action.
I'm in love. Oh, with you, of course, my darling.
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
Welcome back. It's still AM 120, and we still have Mr. Adesumbo Badijoko in the studio with us. He's a public affairs analyst. And of course, remember, we'll be looking at the Samoa Agreement and the trust deficit, amongst Nigerians. All right, so let's quickly get your take on the national orientation. You're talking about funding. So is it that, who do we blame for this funding problem, challenge, facing? I mean, if we feel that we don't need National Orientation Agency, because to my mind, it seemed like the special assistant on media, may have taken up the role that they are supposed to play. Then why are we still keeping that agency?
Well, because they may feel that, yes, we are in the era of social media. And I think that is what is affecting their job anyway. That all you need to do is just put the information out there on social media. Everybody gets it. But what they are yet to understand is that, well, social media is still within the purview of the elites. The market women, the village farmers do not have social media handles. So how do you reach out to those ones? That means those ones will be relying on third-party information, which may not be accurate. I could decide to twist the policy of the government, put my opinion in there and sell that out. And that is what the people would believe. The government will be the one to now start debunking like they used to do. But it is their fault. Why can't you reach out to the people directly? So that's what has been going on. They need to fund the agency if they really want to be using the agency to disseminate information or to carry people along. You don't have a situation where other agencies now do the work of the orientation agency. For instance, INEC does their work whenever election time comes.
No, but they partner a lot of times.
So when you look at all of that, and you begin to wonder what exactly, they can't function without utility vehicles.
No, I think our institutions are not working the way it was when the National Orientation Agency was functioning. In those days, in those federal parastatals, they sent people from the National Orientation Agency to actually be stationed there to do the communication and information work. But now, those agencies, like INEC you just mentioned, when they are recruiting, they recruit a communications person. So which makes it difficult for them to at least be majorly part of it.
Yes, because we have limited interagency collaboration these days. Everybody wants to be in charge of their operations, and they don't want interference. Those are the things they hide.
Is that not selfishness?
We may say it's selfishness. We may say they are preventing distractions or having a mole in their ranks. So these are things that they will have their reasons for doing what they're doing. But the fact remains that, well, if you want the orientation agency to function, you have to fund it.
Now let's look at the presence of the federal government on the social media. Do you think it is effective enough?
It is. At least they give us first-hand information, and if you are going to debunk, they debunk quickly. We don't have to wait till 9 o'clock when they will do the network news like we used to wait in the past, you understand? But now, we get that instant clarification on national policies, and especially when there is fake news out there. So it's working in a way. It's just that it's still within the purview of the elites. We are the ones that follow that. The village people, so many things happens without their knowledge. When they are not in the know of a lot of things, village people, they don't know anything.
Apart from Noah.
And all these things affect their daily lives.
How do they take care of them? I mean, the common people, in terms of information dissemination.
Yes, that's the only way they could have done that is what she brought up, the orientation. Yes, that's the easiest way. The other way would be to the radio. You understand? Now, most of these people do not listen to radio. They are too busy. They don't have time for it. You understand? Only a fraction of them. And what the content they go after are sensational contents, not news and current affairs. So if you see them with radio, they are not listening to news headline. They are looking for one sensational
But I think that is the media
that will arouse their interest.
I think the media has set an agenda. Is the media setting, changing the agenda for them, giving them the direction of what to listen and what not to listen to.
Media is in business. Whatever content that will promote their business, give them money, that is what they will fund. And that's why bad news, for instance, sells more.
So we are put behind us public affairs broadcasting.
Right now, I mean, disseminating information, that's which we are doing right now.
Who told you are not in business? Yeah, we've interrupted for adverts for some time. These people, there are people that are after these programs. And some people want to, because of that crowd, the traffic that follows this program, put their adverts into it. You have to enrich the content so that it will attract that. So we're also in business.
Now, what is the way forward right now? Let's go back to the main.
Well, the main issue, let's go a little bit back memory lane. After the end of the First World War, 1918, the parties started a conference, and by 1919, a Versailles Treaty was signed. Now, the Treaty of Versailles was signed by Germany, blaming them for the war and all of that. But within that treaty, too, was a provision for the establishment of the League of Nations. The idea was advanced by the President of the United States then, Woodrow Wilson. Do you know what happened? When the German delegates got to Germany, the people looked at the treaty, and they saw a clause there, war guilt clause. no, we will not accept it. You cannot blame us solely for the war. They revolted. And because of that, an Adolf Hitler had to emerge, simply because Germans revolted against the treaty. So they sought their own with revolt. In the United States, when Wilson got back to the US, the Congress refused to ratify the Treaty of Versailles. They said they do not believe in it. They want to go back to isolationism. And that was what they went back to. And so US was not part of the League of Nations. So now, we can adopt any of these two. The people are already revolting. The parliament has the power to ratify. They are the ones that would domesticate any treaty. So they should do what? Rise up to their responsibility and do the right thing. The executive cannot impose it. It's not possible.
So do you believe in the National Assembly to do this,
Of
play
course,
their role?
Of course, they have even suspended the whole thing for now, pending the time the committees on treaties and international protocols will look at it. And of course, put that clause, if ever we're going to sign this. You understand?
Resign it.
Well, the initial was not, even the person that signed is not, I don't think has the authority to do so.
So the person should be
If the
sanctioned.
president himself, then it should be the
president should
Minister
have been-
for Foreign Affairs.
The president-
None of them did.
The person will have been directed to do so.
You don't direct, when it comes to international treaties, either the president signs himself or the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You don't see any other person apart from the President of the United States or the Secretary of State signing on behalf of the US.
So
No,
what happened? What went wrong?
That's
To
how
find out-
some people are not nonchalant about their roles. We have so many diplomats out there that are not even they don't understand what international politics and diplomacy is about. But they are just there on political patronage.
Then maybe
So, and
we're
that is why
fixing
they misbehave.
Maybe we also blame our country for that, putting the wrong people in the right place.
We have a lot of wrong people in the right places here in Nigeria. In every because why? We appoint based on nepotism and political patronage. You understand? We operate a transactional system here. You have worked for me, I compensate you. Forgetting whether or not that person will fit into that position or not. And that is the problem that we're dealing with. And that's why when you don't do something the right way, you don't expect the right result.
Okay, on this note, we have to appreciate you for being a part of AM 120 this morning on the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. You have been listening and, of course, viewing this morning Mr. Adesumbo Badejoko, who is a public affairs analyst. As we wrap up on the conversation this morning, our interview segment, we had been looking at the Samoa Agreement and the trust deficit among Nigerians. We're saying a big thank you to you for joining our program this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right. We'll go on the break and we'll be back with sports.
Last competed actually for Great Britain back in 1993. Subsequently, married Italian pole vaulter Gianni Iapacino, is now an Italian citizen and is now the reigning world